Hey, are you a gigging musician or you're a musician wanting to get out there and gig? My name is Emilio and I have over 30 years experience having played thousands of shows in every possible venue you can imagine. And today I'm going to give you 3 things every musician should do before a gig. All right, so over the past 30 years, I have played so many different gigs in so many different types of venues that I have learned what to do and what not to do. So I'm going to share with you the 3 things that every musician should do before every gig. Number 1, gear prep. You want to make sure your gear is ready and in good shape before every gig. Don't wait until the day of the gig, or worse, the gig itself, to check if your cables are working, to see if your extension cord is in your case, to see if your tuner is with you, to make sure your instrument is along or your microphones. You need to have all of this set up before the gig, hopefully the day before the gig. So what I do is I have a system for my gear, a literal piece of paper where I have all of the gear that I need for my gigs. And if there's a specific gig that requires something different, for example, I have space to write that down. And before the gig, as I'm packing it up perhaps into my vehicle, or maybe the night before, I do a checklist and I make sure that everything's there and everything's working. Very important that you don't wait until the last minute. For about 15 years, I performed about 220, 230 shows a year. So I did a lot of back-to-back shows. At the time, I was just so busy that I didn't even think about having to have a system for my gear. And I would just go from one gig to another gig to another gig. I would get to my place, rest, get to my next gig, etc., etc. But one day I paid the price very dearly because overnight somebody got into my van and stole my guitar, which I'm a Spanish guitar player. Essentially, without my guitar, I can't perform. I don't sing. I don't do anything else. So luckily, there was a gentleman at the venue who was really nice, and he actually went home and brought me and let me borrow his guitar. But the point is this: if before I left, I would have looked at my list, opened up my van or my car or wherever you keep your gear, and looked, I would have noticed that my guitar was missing. I would have been upset, obviously, but I would have been able to prepare for it. I would have been able to have time to make some calls or do whatever I needed to do to prepare for it. I still don't think that it's a good idea to wait until you're on your way to the gig to check your gear. You want to make sure your gear is checked upon before, so that you make sure everything works and everything's packed up properly. All right? So number 2, setup simulation. Do a dry run at home. Set up your gear, make sure it looks just the way that you want it to look, and play your set. You want to know how to set up and break down your gear without a hitch. You don't want to get to your gigs and not know how to set up your gear, or have cables all over the floor and not have an idea as to how to set it up. This is the most unprofessional thing, and I've seen it way too many times, and I've talked to venue owners that it drives them crazy because it just looks unprofessional. It's the same with music. You're being hired to provide a service. The service is to create an environment for the audience, to play your music and create a vibe for the audience, whatever that vibe may be, right? It might be upbeat, might be loud, might be quiet, might be medium, but that's what you're being hired for. So coming in and not knowing how to set up your gear, or asking the venue for things like, do you have an extension cord or anything? It's just unprofessional. So make sure you have all of the tools that you need and you have them packed up nicely so that when you get to the venue, you can just unload, set up without a problem, and play your gig and have a good time. Number 3, your set list. You need to have your set list ready and understand the environment you're going to be performing at. So you can do this ahead of time. Don't try to work out your set list the day of the gig. You have to have a pretty good understanding as to where you're going to be performing and what kind of an environment it is, so that you can create a set list for that environment. So if it's a restaurant, for example, it's nice and relaxing and quiet, then you create your set list for that. All right. If you're performing at a bar, for example, that's more upbeat, that maybe it's a little louder, then you can create your set list for that. Now, there are exceptions to the rules always. And sometimes you may be performing at a restaurant, let's say, and it turns out that everybody likes to get up and start dancing at the restaurant. Well, then you can move your set around, but you want to have that as an alternative set, so you don't have to do it the day of. So have different scenarios for your set. Your regular restaurant set, for example, but then I may have to turn it up a little bit set, and have that prepared as well. There's been many times that I've been performing and people ask me to maybe turn it up a little bit, or maybe they want people to dance. If I'm playing at a wedding and I'm playing the cocktail hour, for example. Generally, cocktail hours are medium volume. It's just to create a nice ambiance. But sometimes they had a cocktail hour before the cocktail hour and they show up happy. And so they want to move a little bit more. So I have different sets for the different situations that may arise. And so all I have to do is change my set a little bit and turn up the volume a tad and go from there. So make sure that you have your set list and a good understanding of the environment where you're going to be performing. These are three small but really important habits that create a professional environment for you as an entertainer. And venues and bookers appreciate tremendously, which is why they call you over and over again, which is why they'll continue to call you to perform at their location or to book you for various events. The M4 system, by the way, which I created, covers all of these steps and many, many more in great depth. So if you're interested, it's called Making Money, Making Music, the M4 system. It's a school community and it's wonderful. So you're welcome to come by and check it out. It's musicians at different levels that are interested in getting out there and gigging for the first time. Some have been playing a little bit already, and it's a great place for support, to answer questions, to ask questions, and to help each other get out there in the gig ecosystem. So I look forward to seeing you. Thank you for taking the time. If you're a musician and you get some value out of this, make sure you subscribe to this channel so we can grow it. And I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.